Good morning. Try it one more time. A little bit more enthusiasm. Good morning. Thank you. This morning, we are honored to have you here this morning for this great event. I'm Terry O'Brien, work here at Austal. It's a big day here in Austal, big day in Mobile, and a big day for the city of Charleston as we christen the future USS Charleston. All of those in uniform, please remain covered throughout the ceremony. Welcome to the christening of the 18th Littoral Combat Ship, USS Charleston, the sixth ship to be named for the great historic southern city of Charleston, South Carolina. On behalf of the over 4,000 men and women working at Austal USA, it's our distinct honor to host this ceremony. At this time, I would like to ask that our guests please rise for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the presentation of colors by the Naval Construction Battalion Center Color Guard and the national anthem presented by the Navy Band Southeast. Ladies and gentlemen, the official party. Mr. Tim McHugh, Vice President, Littoral Combat Ship Programs, Austal, USA. Commander Christopher Bruska, United States Navy, Prospective Commanding Officer for the future USS Charleston. Captain Brian Lawrence, United States Navy, Supervisor of Shipbuilding, Gulf Coast. Captain Michael Taylor, United States Navy, Program Manager, Littoral Combat Ships. Lieutenant Commander Aaron Miller, Chaplain Corps, United States Navy, Naval Mobile Construction Battalion Center, Gulfport, Mississippi. Mr. Bill Patterson, Vice President, General Dynamics Mission Systems. Rear Admiral Kyle Kozad, United States Navy, Commander, Naval Education and Training Command. Rear Admiral John Negley, United States Navy, Program Executive Officer, Littoral Combat Ships. The Honorable John Tecklenburg, Mayor, City of Charleston, South Carolina. Our principal speaker, the Honorable Richard V. Spencer, Secretary of the Navy. The Honorable Bradley Byrne, United States Representative, Alabama's 1st District. Our ship's sponsor, Mrs. Charlotte Riley, who's escorted by your host today, Mr. Craig Percivali, President of Austal USA. At this time, the presentation of the flowers to our ship's sponsor will be made by Eva Langen, daughter of Austal US employee Julia Langen, who is one of our volunteers for every one of these christenings. Eva? Ladies and gentlemen, the Navy Band Southeast will now render honors to Congressman Byrne. Color Guard, parade the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem. Color Guard, retire the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. If we can get a round of applause for the Color Guard and the band. Thank you for joining us this morning. We have two special guests with us. Command Sergeant Major Benny G. Atkins, United States Army, retired, and Command Sergeant Major Robert Patterson, United States Army, retired. They are both recipients of the Congressional Medal of Honor. Thank you for your heroism and your attendance this morning. We're better because of it. I'd also like to briefly acknowledge some of our other special guests this morning. The Honorable Sandy Stimson, Mayor, City of Mobile. And I should have added the recently re-elected Mayor of Mobile. The Honorable Chris Blankenship, Deputy Commissioner, Alabama Department of Conservation. The Honorable Robert Eddington, United States Ship Alabama Battleship Commissioner. Mrs. Linda Winder, who is representing the Society of Sponsors. Mr. Bill Sisson, President and CEO, Mobile Area Chamber of Commerce. Ms. Elizabeth Freeman, Chair of the Board, Mobile Area Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Eddie Tyler, Superintendent, Baldwin County Public Schools. Dr. Timothy Smith, President, Mobile University. Mr. Cliff Grimes, President, United Way of South Alabama. Colonel James A. DeLapp, United States Army, Commander, United States Army Engineer District, Mobile. We also have some other special guests here who stand out by their uniforms. I'd like to ask the crew of the USS Charleston to please rise and be recognized. We have a number of distinguished visitors from the city of Charleston, South Carolina with us this morning. The Honorable Joseph P. Riley, the 60th Mayor of Charleston, who served 40 years as mayor. But today, sir, your role is as the spouse of our sponsor, Charlotte. The Honorable Marvin D. Wagner, Council Member, 5th District, City of Charleston, South Carolina. And now I'd like to recognize our Austal family who play a critical role not only in building this ship, putting on this ceremony, but making this company great. I'd like to ask all the Austal USA employees to please stand and be recognized. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge the efforts of our young men and women in uniform, past and present. They've kept America safe, and they're keeping America safe. Will all those veterans and active duty service members please rise and be recognized? Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce your host this morning, Craig Percivali, President, Austal USA.
Thanks, Terry. Mrs. Riley, Congressman Byrne, Secretary Spencer, Admiral Nagley, Admiral Kozad, Mayors Tecklenburg and Stimson, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Austal, USA for the christening of our 9th Independence variant LCS, the future USS Charleston. And what an incredible ship she is. Charleston is a ship with phenomenal capability and is a very cost-effective solution that not only exceeds the needs of the Navy today, but she's very adaptable to meeting ever-evolving needs of the future. With great speed, volume, flexibility, and firepower, Charleston is a formidable warship that our adversaries around the globe will fear. And she's just flat out a cool ship. Now there's a whole lot to be excited about here in Mobile. As Terry mentioned earlier, Mayor Stimson just got reelected, which is great, and we're so happy for that. But besides that, we have a lot going on. As we prepare to launch Charleston, we have 7 LCSs under various stages of construction, and 5 have been commissioned so far. And we're at full rate production, delivering 2 ships per year under the congressional cost cap. USS Coronado, LCS-4, has been deployed in Singapore and the Western Pacific since October of last year, doing great things. On Tuesday, she successfully fired her surface-to-surface air missile, Harpoon, based on targeting from an unmanned aerial vehicle. This is a significant step forward in demonstrating real warfighting capability from a forward-deployed LCS. 4 other Independence-class ships, Independence, Jackson, Montgomery, and Gabrielle Giffords, are in San Diego, operating with the Pacific Fleet, and we're excited to hear there will be 2 of them deployed in Singapore in 2018. We're also building expeditionary fast transports, or EPFs, for the Navy, of which 8 have been delivered so far over the past 3 years. 5 EPFs have already been on various deployments around the globe. Many of them are expected to remain forward deployed for most of their service life. I'll tell you, nothing gives us shipbuilders more pleasure than to see our ships float, which is very important, and then fly the U.S. flag and conduct missions representing America around the world. We're excited and proud that these ships, produced right here in Mobile, Alabama, are on station at the tip of the spear, projecting the best that America has to offer. We had the honor of spending a lot of time with Secretary Spencer yesterday, and for that, again, Secretary, we greatly appreciate your time. We not only bragged about our ships, as you would expect I would do, but we reminisced about the incredible journey we've taken to get here. From opening up in 2000 with a shed and a couple of double-wide trailers along the banks of the Mobile River, to building a $400 million state-of-the-art ship manufacturing facility, to increasing employment by over 3,000 total employees in about 4 years' time, all while starting and successfully executing 2 brand new major Navy shipbuilding programs. When you think about it, it's truly a national success story, one that we all should be very proud of. And folks have asked me from time to time, how do we do it? How do we basically pop up out of nowhere and grow so fast and build these complex ships? And the answer is very, very simple. The people. Incredible people, thousands of people who work hard to bring ships like Charleston to life. People like General Dynamics Mission Systems, who've been our friends and partners from day one on both of our programs, along with just under 1,000 suppliers across 41 states, including more than 300 right here in Mobile and Baldwin counties, and more than 500 across the state of Alabama. Companies that have provided the best services and products as we've grown our operations and built these great ships. People like Mayor Stimson, the Mobile City Council, and the County Commission, and the state of Alabama, who provide a great environment for businesses to do business in. People like Congressman Bradley Byrne, Senator Shelby, and the rest of our congressional delegation across the state, who do wonders for Austal, the state of Alabama, and our nation's military. And people like Admiral Nagley, Captain Taylor, and Captain Lawrence, and the rest of our Navy partners who work side by side with us as we work through the occasional challenge of building complex warships. And finally, at the core of this industry-leading team are the incredible shipbuilding professionals here at Austal, USA, truly the best that I have ever worked with. They are the ones who have felt the brunt of the challenges and frustrations of a rapidly growing company, but with resolve, perseverance, and determination have truly made Austal what it is today. An incredible group of men and women who remain steadfast in their commitment to being the absolute best in the industry so that we can provide the most cost-effective and capable ships to our great Navy. Thank you so much for all your hard work. Take pride in this day, in the product you build, and the service that you provide our nation. Secretary Spencer, we know you need a 350-ship Navy, and this team is ready to deliver a 350-ship Navy, I can tell you that. Commander Brusca, we've built you a great ship, the coolest ship on the planet. We know that you and your crew will take Charleston to the tip of the spear, making her namesake city and all of us proud. Thank you so much for your service to our country, and we wish you and your crew fair winds and following seas. Charlotte, it's said that a sponsor infuses her spirit into each new ship, providing strength and inspiration to those who will serve aboard her throughout her service life. Please know that the pride and values of those who built Charleston have laid a solid foundation from which you can build from. Ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake about it. As I said before, this is a national success story, one that we all should be, again, very proud of. Here's a program that's brought innovation to the forefront to construct incredible warships like Charleston for our nation's defense, while strengthening industry and the community as evidenced by the incredible growth and economic impact we've experienced here in Mobile, Alabama. A great place, cool ships, and incredible people. To me, it just doesn't get any better than this. There's no place else I'd rather be, nothing else I'd rather do, and no one else I'd rather do it with. God bless the ship, all those who built her, and God bless America. Thank you. It's now my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Bill Patterson, a very close friend and partner of ours, the Vice President, General Dynamics Mission Systems.
Thank you very much, Craig. Mrs. Riley, Congressman Byrne, Secretary Spencer, distinguished guests, friends, and family. Tradition. Today's ceremony is part of a shipbuilding and Navy tradition that goes back hundreds of years. The namesake city of Charleston has its own strong seafaring and naval tradition. As one of the first cities in the new American colonies, Charleston embraced the sea from the very beginning of its existence. Pine tar, pitch, and timber were critical for wooden shipbuilding of the day and were major commerce products in those periods. During the Revolution, Charleston was the site of the Royal British Navy's first defeat in a century at the Battle of Sullivan's Island. As Charleston continued to grow through the years, it embraced the Navy and became the home of a naval submarine base, a naval station, a naval shipyard, a naval weapons station, and many other installations. Today, the city is the 4th largest container seaport on the East Coast and the 13th largest in North America. The Navy also has a strong foundation in traditions. The tradition of commitment to your shipmates and your ship, the tradition of service to our country and its defense, the tradition of operational excellence both in home waters and abroad, the many traditions of the daily routine of a ship at sea. Captain Brusca and the crew of Charleston have upheld these traditions in the past, and they will soon be called again to uphold them. They will stand the watch on the most modern of warships and introduce new sailors, as well as friendly and not so friendly navies and countries, to our long-standing traditions of the U.S. Navy. An exceptional crew deserves an exceptional ship. You may look around the shipyard and say to yourself, this is not a traditional shipyard. The processes, methods, materials used in this shipyard to build the future Charleston are certainly modern. However, the heart and soul of any shipyard is really the people, as Craig so eloquently put it earlier. The team that Craig Percivali, Tim McHugh, and Dave Groudon have pulled together certainly have the values of traditional shipbuilders, and General Dynamics Mission Systems is proud to join them in this endeavor. This team values hard work. This team values crew craftsmanship. This team values commitment to quality and doing the job right. We take great pride in delivering a fast, lethal, warfighting ship able to go in harm's way and take the fight to the enemy. These ships are being driven hard with long hours on station, little time to rest and refit. It is a testament to the professionalism and commitment of the shipbuilding team here in Mobile and around the country that Charleston's sister ships are meeting and exceeding their operational challenges every day. 30 years ago, the newest warfighting ships such as the Ticonderoga-class cruisers, Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, Oliver Hazard Perry-class frigates were keeping the watch. At that time, the most advanced computing system of the day was the Yuck 7. Today, the latest keepers of the watch, Charleston, fields a modern total ship network and combat systems that has gone from 4 tape track reels to integrated hard drives, has 2 million times faster processing speeds, and has 10,000 times the storage capacity as their predecessors. The ship is open and modular, from the interchangeable weapon zones to the open software architecture to the flexible mission bay and flight deck. Charleston and her sister ships can be easily and routinely modernized to keep pace with the threat. With the deep tradition of the namesake of City of Charleston, built by a strong shipbuilding team, infused with the soul of our sponsor, Mrs. Riley, and the committed professional sailors of Captain Brusca and his crew, this ship is destined for great adventure and will be ready to answer the call to duty. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. It's now my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, whose support and guidance is so important to the Littoral Combat Ship Program, Rear Admiral John Nagley, Program Executive Officer, Littoral Combat Ships. Thanks, John, for being here. Thanks for everything.
Well, good morning. What a great Navy day. Is there any place you'd rather be today than standing in front of this magnificent warship, getting ready to take her one step closer to delivering her to the fleet? Mrs. Riley, Representative Byrne, Secretary Spencer, Mayor Tecklenburg, distinguished guests, friends of LCS, welcome to today's ceremony. It's really an honor for me to speak to you today as we christen this warship, the 18th Littoral Combat Ship and the 6th ship to bear the great name of Charleston. You know, Charleston is a city with a long and storied naval heritage, a city that represents the best of American values, our unity, our diversity, our traditions, and our innovation. And those characteristics are reflected in the ship that sits before you here today. Her namesake ships have served proudly since the earliest days of our Navy, and the ship before you will be no different. She is a ship designed for the turbulent waters of the 21st century, where U.S. presence and a show of support to our allies and strength to our adversaries is more important than ever. But shipbuilding is a challenging endeavor. It takes a committed team and a dedicated team to bring a ship like this to life. And I will tell you, there is no better shipbuilding team than the one assembled here at Austal and in Mobile, Alabama. Under Craig Percivalli's leadership, this team worked tirelessly every day to ensure this ship, the USS Charleston, is worthy of its namesake and ready to meet the many challenges she'll face ahead as she sails the world's ocean, protecting the liberties we hold so dear. But even with the sound ship and a steadfast crew, no ship can ever truly complete without the spirit of its sponsor. Mrs. Riley, over 40 years as First Lady of Charleston, you've inspired your city with your grace, your kindness, your selfless service and sacrifice. And now, as you christen the next USS Charleston, this ship will carry with it not only its heritage and traditions of a great naval city, but your compassion and your generous spirit as well. For as long as she sails, you will inspire those who serve on her, the 6th USS Charleston. Thank you for being her sponsor. Today, more than ever, our Navy is called upon to be the vanguard of American ideals and the interests throughout the world. The USS Charleston, guided by the spirit of her sponsor and the talent of her crew, will carry on the proud tradition of service and excellence she represents. May God bless Charleston, her crew, and our Navy. Thank you.
Thank you, Admiral. It's now my honor to introduce Admiral Kyle Kozad, Commander, Naval Education and Training Command.
Mrs. Riley, Congressman Byrne, Secretary Spencer, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, what an absolute honor to join you today on behalf of our Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral John Richardson. This is a great Navy day. I think it's more than fitting that I start my remarks with well-deserved thank you. Thank you to our truly phenomenal Navy industry shipbuilding team that's working tirelessly to bring another great warship to our fleet. Thanks also to our elected state and federal officials for continuing to support our critical defense investments that support our national security. And without people, the ship you see behind you is nothing more than metal and aluminum. So thank you to the sailors and their family who will make up the ship's crew and breathe life into this great warship. These servicemen and women are already preparing this ship to join a Navy arsenal and will be ready for decisive operations at sea when called upon to do so. I'd also like to pay some additional tribute and publicly thank our ship sponsor, Mrs. Charlotte Riley, whose personal example of community service stands as an incredible model for the men and women of Charleston's crew. Throughout her life, she has served the city of Charleston through her work in local business, through leadership as a community volunteer, and as the First Lady of Charleston for over 40 years. And like the shining example that Mrs. Riley has demonstrated, Littoral Combat Ship Charleston faces a similarly bright future. Charleston will play a vital role in protecting the world's high seas, designed with a unique ability to operate close to shore for combat duties ranging from mine detection and removal to anti-submarine defense and defense against hostile high-speed surface craft. In today's competitive global environment, this ship exemplifies how your Navy will respond to the complexities of today's security environment. A perfect example of improving the Navy's capabilities through innovation in shipbuilding, in maintaining and training, Charleston's crew will make their city namesake proud by upholding the highest standards of professional at sea, serving our great Navy with integrity while demonstrating the toughness that goes hand in hand with naval service. From its founding in 1670 as a key colonial seaport, to its history as host to the United States Navy through the 20th century, the city of Charleston has embodied the spirit of America as a maritime nation. Today, the community of Charleston continues to support over 60 military commands and federal agencies with over 90,000 servicemen and women, Department of Defense civilians, their families and retirees calling Charleston home. It seems very fitting that the 6th naval vessel bear the name Charleston. Littoral Combat Ship Charleston will soon add to the legacy of the 5 previous ships with the same namesake, all having contributed richly to our naval heritage. Hailing back as far as 1798, when the first USS Charleston, a row galley sailing ship, defended the coast of South Carolina. Since then, 2 cruisers, a patrol gunboat, and most recently, an amphibious cargo ship have all sailed around the world, engaged in efforts to advance the principles of freedom and liberty that lie at the very heart of human spirit. This ship and her crew will do their most best and certainly go forward to play a similarly crucial role while making their own mark on our nation's history. Thank you all for being here today, and as we look forward to the future, may God continue to bless our Navy and the men and women who crew the Littoral Combat Ship Charleston. Thank you.
It's now my honor to introduce the Honorable John Tecklenburg, Mayor of the namesake city of Charleston, South Carolina. Welcome to Mobile. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. So thank you very much, Craig. It's a great honor to be here and represent our great city of Charleston. I know protocol has somewhat been established, but Secretary and Mrs. Spencer and Congressman Byrne, good morning, Mayor Stimpson, Admirals Nagley and Kozad, Mayor Riley, or should I say the husband of the First Lady for 40 years, other members of our armed forces, and ladies and gentlemen. And of course, I recognize our sponsor, Mrs. Riley, a First Lady of our city for over 40 years. And I cannot think of a better person to represent the poise and grace, compassion, integrity of our city than Mrs. Riley. I'd like to ask you please to recognize her. So, in addition to being the husband of the First Lady, Mayor Riley was our mayor for a mere 40 years, known as the Dean of America's Mayors. He exhibited incredible leadership, not just for our city, but the U.S. Conference of Mayors and for mayors around the country. And I think he set a pretty good tradition. Getting a new mayor every 40 years or so is a good idea, don't you? So it's been mentioned, Bill mentioned this battle, naval battle that occurred in Charleston. He didn't tell you the date. It was in June of 1776 that the British fleet was handed its first defeat in over 100 years, prior to the signing of the Declaration of Independence. We believe that battle was a real inspiration to our founding fathers just weeks later when they gathered in Philadelphia. And 4 of those original signers were from Charleston, along with the president of the Continental Congress was a Charlestonian. We're a city rich in history and heritage. We take preservation so seriously. Now, Mr. Congressman, I hate to admit this. I normally only do this when I'm out of town, but I actually have a little Yankee blood in me. I'm proud to be a 10th generation direct descendant of a New Yorker who was also a signer of the Declaration, Philip Livingston. And what these founding fathers so remarkably realized, and not through any merit of our own, that our Creator gave us inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I like to use the word opportunity. our citizens can pursue opportunities in this country when we're safe, when we're free. As mayor, I recognize this on a daily basis, as Mayor Riley did and Mayor Stimpson, in that the number one job of local government is to keep our citizens safe, that public safety is number one. And so on a micro level, we of course do that through our amazing first responders, our police, and our fire departments. They're incredible. But you, my friends in the armed services, in the Navy, and with the help of amazing technology and equipment that we will christen today, on a macro level, you are the defenders of those God-given rights that our Creator endowed us with. You are the ones that protect our citizens so that we can have this liberty, this freedom, and the pursuit of opportunities in our country. So I want to thank you for your service from the bottom of my heart and from the citizens of Charleston, for the honor of being here, the honor of naming this handsome vessel after our fine city. I know an LCS is one of the fastest in the fleet. Isn't that right, Craig? Yes, sir. But I say Godspeed and God bless, and with the fine work of the crew and our servicemen and women and the grace of God, that we defend and continue to perfect these United States of America. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mayor. 36 more years. You got my support. It's now my great privilege and honor to introduce our Congressman, Bradley Byrne. He's been and continues to be a relentless supporter of this ship, as you will see, Secretary Spencer. Congressman Byrne has become a leading expert in national security and particularly sea power. He has seen our Navy being built here in Mobile and has also seen our Navy operating forward in the Pacific. We are fortunate to have him as our congressman, and we are fortunate to have him as a close friend. Ladies and gentlemen, Representative Bradley Byrne.
Thank you, Craig. Good morning, everybody. I have to do a lot of difficult and hard things as a member of the United States Congress. This is not one of them. What a great day. I've been to a lot of ceremonies since I've been congressman, but this is the first time that I've been in the presence of not one but two recipients of the Congressional Medal of Honor. What an incredible thing that you're with us today. We are humbled and honored to have you here. Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Secretary, you and I have just met, but I can tell from the just brief time we've spent together that you and I are going to be great friends and partners. It is so important that the men and women that we put in harm's way in the uniform of the United States have the right type of civilian leadership. And I think President Trump made exactly the right decision in picking you to be our new Secretary of the Navy. Thank you, sir. It's our job in the Congress to support you and through you them to make sure that we're doing everything we can to provide everything they need for the men and women that serve us in the United States Navy. Just before we left for the August recess, we passed a new appropriations budget for the defense of the United States through the House of Representatives. That appropriations bill is a 10% increase in what we're going to do to defend America. And it's a down payment on years to come where we're going to continue to build our defense. And part of that is to make sure we give you what you need to have a 350 ship fleet and to have the finest sailors in the world with the finest equipment in the world and the best training we can possibly give them. They deserve no less. Admiral Nagley, it has been a great, Admiral Nagley, excuse me, it has been a great privilege for me to work with you. You've been a great friend and a great supporter, and I look forward to continuing to do that. We have such a great shipyard here in Mobile. Craig, I keep coming back and say you did it again. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to say you did it again, and again, and again, and again. I got to see 2 of your EPFs in Singapore when I was there earlier this year. They were taking some stuff off and putting some more stuff on to get ready to put them back to work. I'm so proud of those ships. But these ships, these littoral combat ships that we make here in Mobile and in Marionette, Wisconsin, are critical to the mission of the United States Navy. And so I'm a great advocate for this program, not just because they're made in my district and employ a large number of people in my district, though I never apologize for doing that, but because these ships are critical to the mission of the Navy. So yes, sir, in that appropriations bill we passed before we left, we appropriated money for 3 more of these, hulls 30, 31, and 32. And I am very proud of the work that we've done in the Armed Services Committee to continue this program going. But we will soon need to make a transition to the frigate. And I'm going to be as much a supporter of the frigate program as I have been of the littoral combat ship program, because I understand what the Navy's trying to accomplish there, and I agree with you, sir, and I agree with the people that serve under you. I want to say something to the great people from Charleston who are here. I have had the privilege of having a number of relationships with the people in Charleston. In 1989, a group of people from Mobile, from the Mobile Chamber of Commerce, we've got Bill Sisson and Liz Freeman here, we did a trip to Charleston to try to learn from you what you had done with your great city. So many of the things that you see in downtown Mobile and across Mobile that we've accomplished over the last 30 years came from that trip. So we appreciate what you have shared with us. You are a part of what we're doing here. And we're delighted to have a ship made in Mobile to be named after your city. My wife, Rebecca, her family is from South Carolina, and her father was a proud graduate of the Citadel. So we have a special connection to your city, and we are glad to see this ship be a part of your legacy. Mayor, there needs to be a commissioning of this ship. I think it should be in Charleston, South Carolina, don't you? So, Mr. Secretary, no pressure, it's your decision, but I hope you will see fit to make sure that the commission of this great ship occurs in Charleston. And Mr. Mayor, if you'll invite me, I will come and be there with you, because I think it's important for us to continue the relationship between our 2 great cities. Ms. Riley, I was privileged to stand in your place in June of 2016 when we laid the keel for this ship. You couldn't be here. And I am delighted to meet you and to know it's your spirit that will be in that ship forever. It's a great spirit. And the officers and sailors that will serve on this ship will forever know that you gave that spirit to this ship, and that's what animates the ship and animates them in doing what they do. And we are proud of you, and thank you for being here. To the commander of this ship, Commander Brusca, you are so important to the future of the United States of America and to our Navy. We are delighted that you've been here to be with us and that you will be taking command of this ship. To you and to your crew, and to the officers and crew that will follow you on this ship, fair winds and following seas. God bless you. God bless the USS Charleston, and God bless the United States Navy.
I'm so glad I went first. Thank you so much, Bradley. That was great. It is now my honor to introduce our principal speaker for today's ceremony, the Honorable Richard Spencer, the 76th Secretary of the Navy. Sir, again, we welcome you and your wife, Polly, to Mobile. It's been a pleasure meeting you. We are honored that you've taken the time out of your busy schedule, only being on the job for a couple of weeks, and starting that right here at our shipyard down in Mobile, Alabama. We look forward to seeing you many, 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 many more times in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, Secretary Spencer.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the past 3 weeks, the Navy has been rocked with 2 tragic accidents, and rest assured that the Chief of Naval Operations and myself are analyzing root causes along with the whole Navy to find solutions to this. But for the families, the loved ones, and those departed, I'd just like to take a minute of reflection, if we could. Representative Byrne, Mayor Trachtenberg, Mr. Percivali, Mrs. Riley, Mr. Patterson, Vice Admiral McCollum, Rear Admiral Nagley, distinguished guests, shipbuilders, sailors, I know there's some Marines out there, friends, family, and everyone. And I'd also like to take a moment to offer special accolades to 2 gentlemen who are with us, awarded the highest honor by the government for being warriors. Thank you, gentlemen. It's an honored tradition here, and I want to share a few words with you this morning as we christen the USS Charleston. This is Polly's and ours first ship christening I've gotten to attend since Secretary of the Navy, which has only been 3 weeks. I'm glad this is my first one here in Mobile, Alabama, because Mobilians know the value of a good warship. When the battleship Alabama was commissioned just over 75 years ago on August 16, 1942, should go on to serve with distinction, earning 9 battle stars during World War II. And then when it was announced that she'd be scrapped in 1962, the wise people of Alabama, knowing she still had work left to be done, made her a fitting focal point of a tribute to all Alabama citizens who have worn our nation's uniform. Shipbuilding is an important and proud tradition here in Mobile. When the Alabama Dry Dock and Shipbuilding Company began operations a century ago, they would eventually become an essential part of the economy and ship production during World War II. Although that company no longer exists today, shipbuilding, as you can see, is alive and well. America has the finest shipbuilders in the world. No other country builds vessels like we do, and companies like Austal USA are an important reason. Out of nearly 400,000 people employed by the U.S. shipbuilding industry, more than 4,000 can be found right here at Austal. And like their friends from Mobile, the good people of Charleston, South Carolina also understand the value of a strong warship and a strong Navy. Today we honor them with the christening of the USS Charleston. In 95 years, it hosted the Charleston Naval Shipyard. The city would serve as birthplace to over 250 vessels, employing thousands, and a home to tens of thousands. Today, Charleston, South Carolina ports generate $53 billion in annual economic activity and employ over 187,000 people. So you can see that freedom of the seas is vital to South Carolina, but it's also vital to the United States. Let me take pause here and state that as we step out to reset the readiness and build a 350-ship Navy, we, the Navy, realize that this effort will be a significant undertaking involving large amounts of materiel, dollars, and human resources. I look forward to working with our suppliers as partners in order to achieve our goal. While the Navy will continue to develop our requirements for various assets that are needed, we also must strive to bring rigor to that process in order to be responsible stewards and responsible clients for taxpayer dollars. We look to our supplier community to provide us robust solutions and to address our requirements, which Austal is a fine example. The partnership construct is based upon shared risk and shared benefits. We are operating in unique times, and we must work together to support the security of our nation, our interests, and our allies. A large part of that security comes from the United States Navy's ability to ensure that the world's oceans, which serve as economic lifelines, are free to all nations throughout sustainable presence and deterrence. And when presence and deterrence aren't enough, we're committed to winning any conflict or war the nation may ask us to engage in. To do this, we must be consistently focused on readiness and lethality at every single opportunity. As we strive for greater readiness and lethality, our focus centers on three priorities: people, capabilities, and process. People. They are the shipbuilders we partner with via industry, builders of technological marvels like this ship right here, the Charleston. They are active duty sailors, our reservists, trusted custodians of the tools of war like the Charleston. They are our civilian workforce, faithful supporters of the mission both at home and abroad. The Navy's people are its most valuable resource. The talent, skills that they bring are second to none. That is why we entrust them with both the capability and responsibility to defend our sacred principles: freedom and liberty. It is a heavy responsibility, and we must prepare our people for the highest ethical standards, that they must make decisions for every task and mission they undertake. But while we demand much of our people, we must remain committed to repaying the debt they have borne as it pertains to the cost of readiness. Building our capabilities through assets like Charleston is just one step forward to repaying that debt. The capacity for the Navy to meet the challenge at any location around the globe is dependent on those capabilities. We are focused on training, modernization, and maintenance in order to build our capabilities, achieve the highest state of readiness, and enhance lethality both now and in the future. Charleston is a tangible piece of the modernization puzzle. Charleston, like other ships of the LCS program, is going to be highly maneuverable, able to operate in both open ocean and littoral waters, and will project power through forward presence. Our processes, how we conduct business and go about acquiring assets, combined with our people and our capabilities, is the final critical components of readiness and lethality. We must look for ways to drive efficiency, adopt and implement new ideas, leverage leading practices in order to positively affect the support of the mission. Refining our processes with a focus on speed, value, results, and partnerships will allow us to be fully accountable to the American people, which is our duty. But today we celebrate Charleston's next step in her journey forward for where she is needed, forward deployed in the fleet. We remember the legacy she will carry with her. Charleston will actually be the 6th ship to carry that name, as you have been told. The first Charleston was a galley commissioned in 1798 and defended the coast of South Carolina against foreign aggression. The second Charleston was a cruiser that protected shipping in the late 1800s and joined Admiral Dewey's victorious fleet during the Spanish-American War. And as you've been told, another cruiser bearing the name would serve during the First World War. During World War II, the next Charleston was a patrol boat protecting the home front and earned a battle star in the process. The last Charleston served as an amphibious cargo ship, which is an important piece of the projection of naval power ashore. Each USS Charleston gave her country many fateful years of service, and just like the many people of Charleston, South Carolina, who have served their country. The next USS Charleston will allow us to protect the littoral and projected power ashore, making her a worthy vessel to bear her name. And just as every Navy ship is given a name with a purpose, it is also given a sponsor with the same attributes. A ship sponsor plays an important role in the life of the ship. She is a plank owner, a member of the first crew. And when a new captain takes command of the ship, one of the first things they do is contact the sponsor. Her spirit and presence will guide the ship through its service life. It's a lifetime relationship that continues long after the ship is decommissioned. As wife of Charleston's longest surviving mayor, Mrs. Charlotte Raleigh knows a thing or two about long-term commitments. In the 41 years that her husband held office, Mrs. Riley was serving right alongside him. Her thoughtful spirit and honesty align perfectly with the Navy Corps values of honor, courage, and commitment. There is no better person to sponsor the USS Charleston. Charlotte Riley will be an inspiration to the crew of this great ship and every member of the United States Navy, including ballet activities. Once again, thank you, everyone, civilian, military, who have served hard to get the USS Charleston to where she is today. To the men and women of Austal, my hat goes off. Keep building them, and the Navy will ensure that they are put to good use defending the nation's interest. May God bless the USS Charleston, all who sail aboard her, the United States Navy, and the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Secretary Spencer. Again, it's been a pleasure seeing you and meeting you, and look forward to a long relationship and friendship. I want to take this time to talk about the future USS Charleston sponsor, Mrs. Charlotte Riley. So many folks have said kind words about her before, and I'll add to that a little bit, hopefully learning a little lesson from last night, because I kind of screwed up a little bit last night, but I won't do that again, I hope. Charlotte is the perfect choice as Charleston's sponsor. The moment we met when you were walking down under the ship yesterday, and I said hi to you, I can tell just from your warmth that you exude that she's just a wonderful person, and you can see that instantly. Her husband, Mayor Joe Riley, served, as you know, mayor of Charleston for 40 years. And again, one more time, think about it, another 36. She stood by his side for all that time. Now, it's easy being mayor, right? No, it's not. But she stayed with you the whole time, the wife of an elected official. That is a feat unto its own. She participated in the Junior League of Charleston, whose mission is to build an organization of women committed to promoting volunteerism, developing the potential of women, and improving the community through effective action and leadership of trained volunteers. How cool is that? Focusing on helping people help others. It's a reflection of the values and passions that she has. She has also served on the board of Big Brothers and Sisters, Charleston's homeless shelter, and a school for troubled boys, and is a very active member in her church and in supporting the Meals for Wheels. I know this great worship will do the best that she can to represent Charleston, represent your spirits, and represent all that America has to offer. Again, no one is more worthy than to be the sponsor of this fine worship. Ladies and gentlemen, our ship sponsor, Miss Charlotte Riley.
Thank you, Craig. Our blessing this morning will be delivered by Lieutenant Commander Aaron Miller from the Naval Construction Battalion Center, Gulfport. Will the guests please rise?
Let us pray. Lord, I thank you for this day, for all the hands that brought us to this point. Lord, I ask for your blessing now upon this ship as she will go out upon your waters. May she truly stand for all the things and all the values that make us great. Bless all those who will walk upon her decks. Bless her leaders with wisdom and integrity as they go out into the world to protect American rights. May she continue to remind us what it is to be your people, what it is to be members of this nation. May we be encouraged to be bound together in unity, that we would strive each together as brothers and sisters of this country to stand for those things that make us great and stand for freedom. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Miller. Will the guests please be seated? We're going to get ready to christen the ship, and sir, you mentioned it, but you know, you authenticated the keel to be fair and true. Looks like you did a pretty good job. All right. We appreciate that. If you need a job, Craig said we can hook you up if you need to do that. Okay, as I said, we're ready to christen the ship. Mrs. Riley, Secretary Spencer, Mayor Tecklenburg, and Commander Brusco, would you please join Craig for the christening of this great ship? For folks that probably the best thing, if you need to stand and move, but probably the best is to be able to watch it on the monitor behind me. Christening is a formal blessing of a ship, and it's amongst the oldest traditions in the United States Navy. It marks the ship's transition from a mere hull number, LCS 18, to a ship with a name and a spirit of her own. Seafaring nations across the centuries have maintained a tradition of formally dedicating a ship into their fleet. This ship will end her life on land here at Austal and begin a new life at sea, infused with our sponsor's spirit. Through today's ceremony, we commemorate this important milestone in the life of the future USS Charleston.
There you go. Now you can step up to the mic. I'll bring it down for you. I'll bring it over for you. Say that first, and then you can just take your time, and I'll stand behind you. Right into the microphone.
For the United States of America, I christen thee Charleston. May God bless the ship and all who sail in her.
Watch your step. Right there. Yeah, give a little bit of an aim there. There we go.
Charlotte, great job. First try. That is awesome. Continues the tradition here. This concludes the formal christening ceremony. We will have a cake cutting ceremony in the back, and a reception will be in the mid-yard break room. If you go down 2 exits, our volunteers will get you over there. If you want to see the cake cutting, we're going to ask that all the platform participants remain on the platform. We're going to take a few pictures. I know folks want to get access at them. Please let us get our photos taken. We can make it smooth for everybody, and then we'll proceed back to the cake cutting. And for those that want to go to the cake cutting or go to the reception, feel free to do so. And again, thank you so much for joining us this morning.